Gyamso is a Tibetan people smuggler. He's decided to go on camera for the first time to explain why so many Tibetans are so desperate to escape to Nepal. Gyamso shows me photos of the route he takes 3 or 4 times a year across the mountains, a journey fraught with danger that can take a month. He charges about $600 per person and gets about 20 people out of Tibet each year. He explains Tibetans want to escape so they can study their language and culture, which isn't available in schools there. They risk being arrested by the Chinese police and have to cross high mountain passes. He says many escape so they can meet their spiritual leader, the Dalai Lama, in India. Next, we're introduced to one of Gyamso's escapees, who he brought across the border just 2 months ago. He asks us to help disguise his face for fear his family will be targeted in Tibet. He says he got to Lhasa by bus and then from there he started walking. At night we had to sleep where we could on the ground, he says, with just blankets and plastic sheets for shelter. The journey was very difficult and dangerous.
They walk, we've known of cases where they've walked for 20 days, 24 days over the mountains, And some of them have frostbites, they've lost their toes, they've lost their fingers. Some of them die just on the way, some of them have been shot,
Some Tibetan refugees end up at this UN reception centre where they're processed and allowed to continue their journey to India. But many end up staying in Nepal because they haven't got the right papers to travel. Galsen Sondu is typical. She says she was tortured by the Chinese in 1987 for protesting. She fled and ended up here. She tells me she's lost 4 of her brothers to violence in Tibet. One was killed in 1987 by the Chinese police, she says. 3 others were shot in the recent protests. All my brothers have lost their lives for the cause of Tibet. It's very sad for our family, but it's for the larger cause that we feel proud of them for their sacrifices, she says. The Tibetan government in exile estimates there could be as many as 20,000 people seeking refuge here in Nepal, unable to get back over the mountains to their homeland for fear of repression by the Chinese authorities. But with the recent crackdown, the border is now even more difficult to cross. Tibet remains sealed off from the outside world, and the fate of its people is largely unknown. Dan Rivers, CNN, Kathmandu, Nepal.